Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast from IronHike Endurance Productions. Today we have a special guest, Dave Darcy, and we have the infamous / famous Dr. Scott Festa with us. And on the screen here, you'll see. So Dave's been an early adopter of our event series. Dave's participated in our inaugural event last September of 2024, and then also finished an event in June on Mohawk Mountain with us, and it's registered for October. So Dave is we'll call him a regular, but would like to talk a little bit to Dave about his background. And with that, I'm going to share these photographs of Dave. So this is Dave in Dave's natural habitat at an IronHike event. There he is. I think he's finishing here. Yep, getting his finisher medal from Scott. And there he is, making sure that the cookie that he got from Divvy Tree, shout out to Divvy Tree here in New Jersey. That's the bakery sponsor and coffee shop. So let me unshare that and real quick.
I'm having just so you know, I'm having dog issues. They're everywhere.
That's okay. This is the very natural podcast. So Dave, tell us a little bit about how you got into long distance events and kind of your background leading up to you meeting us.
That is a long story, but I'll make it as brief as possible. In around 1999, 2000, I got into running because I had a lot of time and not a lot of dough, and I also was a very large person. So I used that not only to improve my life and lose weight, but also to have something that didn't cost a lot of money. And what I found is after doing it for a little bit, I lost a bunch of weight, and like a lot of things that, that make you feel good, just wanted to keep doing it. And I ended up, after a couple of years, running a whole bunch of marathons, and I'm getting into thereafter triathlons, Ironman, and all the things, and it's kind of
are you an Ironman finisher?
Yeah, I did Lake Placid. Geez, back in I'm gonna get the year wrong, 2005.
Well, so for those of you who may not know what that is, how long is the swim?
It's 2.4 miles swim, 112-mile bike, and then a marathon.
Yeah, so after you do that swim and after you ride that bike ride, then you're exhausted and you're like, oh, now I just got to go run a marathon.
Yeah, that was the slowest marathon I've ever run.
How long ago was that?
I mean, 18 years ago. Hold on.
He's gonna.
I ran one marathon in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one. Like one sanctioned one. I did like a couple of. I think I'm gonna go run a marathon today. Marathons.
Yeah.
That don't mean anything, but it was the Honolulu Marathon, and
I'd run that if I wasn't even prepared. I mean, that's Honolulu.
Dude, I had a broken arm, and I signed up for it the day before, and I did zero training for it, right? And it wasn't the mileage, that was just miles, and it was heat. What I didn't think of is it was the constant this with your hand
with the arm,
and this is where my arm was broken right there. You can see that big old scar, and man, and that's not what I didn't even think of that, and it was torturous, just torturous. Well, I finished. So anyway,
that's awesome. That's the nice parallel between what most people do in a marathon and IronHike is that most people, 99% of people aren't, or let's just say 95 to round down, 95% of people aren't winning a marathon, and I think that's
right.
Most people.
Right.
So that's a good parallel to IronHike, and that there is no winning against other people. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about IronHike is that it's not like against. It's a we. It's a team. It's a positive. So
so just for if you're just tuning in for the first time and this is your first time knowing about us, we we look like a race, but we're not a race. These are endurance events. And so everyone is trying to beat the clock, but they're not being timed as individuals. So you have 12 hours, for example, to finish our 15-mile event. In your case, you had 24. What did you do last time, Denali?
Yes, last round.
Denali was a 48-hour event. How many miles was it?
Denali's 35 laps, so I think that ends up to around 42 miles.
40, right? And you got the elevation of Denali, the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere, right, in the United States, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So tell us about us. Like, how did you find out about us?
Oh, that's a fun story. One of my friends, good old Mary, is also really good friends with your wife. And I was there, and she said, "Oh, I got this friend John who's doing this," and I was like, "Okay." And I think that night, or maybe a day or two later, I signed up because I was like, "This is like right up my alley," and it's. I think we've talked in the past about your community is hikers and runners, and I can't figure out which one I fit into better. So it's like, are you a hiker or runner? It's like, yes, I don't know. So
yeah, you're both. So, I mean, you're both, right? So
yeah. So
so when I first met, one of the first times I met you is we had a packet preparation party, right? So my wife, we all got together and we were stuffing packets with swag and bibs and all sorts of stuff last year during the inaugural event. And we talked about the dream, right, of building and producing something that has got something for everybody from every distance, and the appeal to runners, hikers, people who want to do what Scott did, Olympus Mons, over a 3.5-day event that's just got a crazy elevation profile, to people who want to come out and spend the day with 3 friends and do just under a 5K up and down Mohawk Mountain and enjoy the camaraderie. And that was a year ago. And so since then, we've produced 2, and we're about to do our 3rd one here coming up in a month and 5 days. And it's phenomenal. The growth has been phenomenal. So tell us about your experience with us on the mountain in June. Like, tell me what that felt like.
I mean, it's always a little different, but it's, you're going up and down a mountain, and I guess I got there and set up. I mean, Scott and I kind of made a little, man fort, and that's not a right way of saying it, but a little fort of our little tent and our chairs, and got set up.
That was in base, right? Not tent.
Yeah.
Not in the tent city, right?
I'm sorry. So yeah. So that I'm sorry. So it was kind of a tent that kind of to give your rests in between. I think it ballpark about. I was taking about 40 minutes each time. So you kind of, after 40 minutes, even if you're doing them back to back, or even if you're coming pretty close to back, you're still, you want to sit down for a minute and have some, have a banana or have something, drink some water. I have the way I do my hydration is it's actually a Camelback that I don't carry. So literally it'll be sitting in my chair. So I'll sit down in the chair and then use that and whatnot. So it just makes it easier, especially because it's only 40 minutes.
The lap is 1.2 miles, 6.61 on each way. And it's about
a kilometer. It's easier to do the math.
690 feet of elevation gain per lap ish.
That sounds about right. Yeah. So
I mean, tell me about the vibe. Like, how did you feel about what you were doing and the people?
I think I articulated it best when I wrote that little blurb. But I mean, it's just a constant, like, meeting new people and having very short but fun conversations. Everybody's supportive. I mean, if you don't know everybody's name and you see someone 2 times every 40 minutes, you learn it pretty fast. And we just a lot of fun. Met a lot of really cool people, and just support. I mean, there's no other way to articulate it. You have to experience it because it's just such a supportive community, and there's nothing better than sitting by the fire after you're in between laps and just
commiserating.
Yeah, being exhausting, you know, finding some random cookies or whatever snacks you brought or whatever, and you know, just hanging out for, I mean, very short times, but yeah.
Did you sleep at all in your tent during the 48 hours?
Yeah, I did. It was 35, so I broke it into sevens. So I did seven longer, 7, 7, 7, and after the third set of 7, I did I think I slept for like 3 hours. I think it was like 3, 4 a.m. by the time I went to sleep, and then I think I was woken up when Esther finished like 6 a.m. or something like that. So that was kind of really cool to like be woken up by that, be like, but it was like, that was the coolest thing ever. And I think that's right, if that's my math, but I think that's when it happened. But it was like, that was like kind of the coolest thing ever, because you're like, that's so cool, because you know, you watch someone do it and then you're like, all right, that's kind of neat.
I think it's really hard to describe, you know, the feeling that's there, because everybody is sucking together, and there's this misery, but there's this support that is this underlying and undenied support for everybody. And but it's really hard to put that into words. And I think like the only way to experience that is to actually just go and experience it. And yeah. And so like, it's one of the things where I'm like, John, you gotta hike next time. You know, we gotta get you on there. You gotta hike next time. You gotta feel this suck.
So so, as you guys know, we built this thing, right? And we mapped it all out, and we built this calculator. We picked the signature mountains, and we're building it. So basically, we made the champagne, right, or the dog food. And so now I'm going to eat my own dog food. I'm going to drink my own champagne. And so I have a history of long distance hiking. I'm slow, but I've got maybe 3,000 miles on these old legs. And so I took it to heart, and I told Scott that it's important for me, as one of the founders and as one of the original idea holders about what this could look like, that I actually do an event. So I'm registered for October for Everest, and it's gonna, you know, basically I got to do 20 miles a day, and for 3 days, while running an event series. Although I got a great team, Scott's going to be in charge, while Cliff Andrews is also going to be doing, I think, double down. So we're all drinking the champagne, and we're all going to understand what we built. And I'm excited to be trying. You know, maybe I'll DNF. And I know that we got to find a better word or better acronym than DNF, because it's so negative.
Future finishers. Future finishers.
Yeah, maybe I'll FF. I'll future finish. But yeah, so and I know someone I respect very much that also DNF'd a hard event and then came back and killed it. So I'm not too worried.
Exactly.
I'm not
worried about it, man. Not worried about it at all.
So Dave, what's different about us than like a marathon or any other trail race that you've been in? Like, what's the difference?
I mean, I already spoke to the we, and that it's a team. Like, you're supported by the team, and you're all doing it together. That there's not just the fact that it's not a competition. Like, you know, you're not. I think when I was doing races more seriously, when they were shorter, when I wasn't necessarily trying to win, but you know, towards the end, everybody's trying to like outrace the last person for 100 yards or something like that. Yes. And I mean, and that's all well and good, and competition is great, but I think that, you know, like, for example, my last lap, when I was getting ready to do it, Scott was like, "Hey, do you want me to come with you for the next lap?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" You know what I mean? And I think that's a tradition that we got to keep going, because that was like really cool to be like, "Yeah, dude, yeah, I'm not here." You know, as much as I am a very individualist, and I'm more geared to just, you know, if I can't find people to do stuff with, I just do the thing alone, whatever it is. Not to say that I don't like being on teams and whatnot, but the fact that, you know, someone wants to do something with you, I mean, and support you in that minuscule way is not minuscule. You know what I mean? It seems minuscule, but it's just powerful. And I think that, you know, I think that's probably the biggest differentiator in my mind, and one of them. And then the other thing is like the lack of stress. Like, I'm very relaxed when it comes to an event where I can control the pace, and it's like I don't if I finished in 38 hours instead of 34 hours, and I'm making that number up because I don't remember exactly what it was, it wouldn't have, it's no stress. It's not the end of the world. So
yeah, you brought up an interesting point. The fact that you can feel the camaraderie, but it's not like hoorah kind of thing. It's not like it's all about like group hugs or anything. There's plenty of time where you're on your own, and so I often call it being alone together, right? So there's hours where you're kind of doing your thing, head down, headphones on, headset, earbuds in, and if you're the kind of person that isn't all about the hugs and the high fives, then this is for you too, because you can totally be in your own space, but there are people around you. Like everyone's doing the alone thing, but together, right? And so the more extroverted people are going to be like talking and chatting, but you don't have to. Like it's perfectly fine.
You can ignore me.
Head down, earphones going. You got it, right?
I mean, I remember in the middle of the night, Scott was doing a couple loops with, like, he would do a loop, then he would do a loop with me, and then he would sleep. And I just remember like going up and down the mountain 2 or 3 times, and I think Scott and Esther were both like curled up by the fire, and I got down and I was like, all right, got my water, went back up, so it's like, you're definitely alone, but it's cool to, like, they were doing what they had to do. So
cool.
I
want to give you a little plug. You wrote a really good blog on the website at IronHike.com. If you go over to the blog section, Dave wrote a really good blog where he kind of expresses his sentiment. It's really well written. So if here or there, go to the website, click on media, I think it is, and over there, click on media, and we have a bunch of blogs, and Dave was kind enough to write a blog for us. So in closing, though, we're going to wrap it up. Somebody's thinking about doing this, and we have people flying in from all over the country. Last year earlier in the year, we had some Canadians join as well. If you're thinking about doing this, what can you say to someone to encourage them to get them off the fence to come do this with us?
It's unlike anything else. I mean, to me, it's a way to challenge yourself and just do it. And it's just so, I don't want to say it'll change your life because that's cliche, but I mean, it'll make you view things differently. And I would say absolutely do it. And, you can figure out a way to contact me if you have any questions. I'm a huge supporter. I mean, I've done every one, and until someone gets married on one of these and I can't make it, I'm going to be doing as many as I can. So I think it's just a great experience, and it's unique. I mean, I think life is kind of about creating unique experiences, and this is one for sure.
Yeah. And again, it's hard, right? So and if it weren't hard, it wouldn't be worth it, right? So we're really excited about how hard we've made it. So we'll see you in October. We're excited to see you. And are you training? I know that Scott normally doesn't train, but are you training?
I usually don't, but I'm doing a 50K on Saturday, so I think that's kind of the training.
Yeah, you just did a really long distance hike in Europe recently too, right? So like this kind of augments what you're already doing, right? Yeah,
basically. I mean, I'm always doing stuff. It's just how much of it, and how much of it goes to how much of it not. And,
well, we appreciate your time today, Dave. And so we're going to wrap up, and we'll see you on the mountain.
All right, see you on the mountain.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Dave. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.